Hello guys, Rami X back with another video. In today's video, as the title suggests, is what if Rami X wrote an anime or wrote anime? And this, I've been working on it pretty extensively behind the scenes, and that's why some things haven't been able to be put out. But this is going to be a 2 to 3 part series. This is just a part 0, so this is just background info for the series. And yeah, this story is about 3 boys in a mythical prophecy, so just keep that in mind. And make sure to like, share, comment down below, check out my Discord server in the description down below, and subscribe, as this is sure to bring in some new viewers. The mythical prophecy entails that, Isoku is the first piece of a seal to bring destruction, and Amosama is the second piece of the seal to create what the destruction destroyed, and Zeliotis is the key to the seal to bring unity to the world. After the seal is complete, the demon and goddess races will fight until the gods Zeno and Rin come down and erase all the beings on the planet Kinto, which includes the goddess, fairy, demon, Leiju, giant, human, the doll race created by humans, the vampire race, and the Sapara Saiyans, a group of humanoid alien beings that have a power known as Sapara Saiyan, which, translate to Super Saiyan, and Amosama is a Sapara Saiyan. These 3 boys' parents died in a war that took place over 12 years ago, and their parents were killed for 3 different reasons. Isoku's parents were killed because they fought against the laws of the human, Leiju, and fairy races' ideologies, making them be prosecuted by the higher-ups of these races. It is believed that, Isoku's father had a Leiju son, so basically his son had a Leiju inside of him, which carries immense chakra in its body, which is also linked to different people and most commonly found in the human and Sapara Saiyans, and that is exactly why he argued for the law. The only problem is these beasts come out when you sleep because they haven't engineered a way to make the seals binding them strong enough to contain Leiju chakra or tight enough so that it can't escape. The sheer might of the chakra which leaks from their bodies can destroy entire buildings. This chakra is most commonly a red and purple color, but depending on the person who wields it, it's a bubbly aura that can pierce skin just by touching it. But it also gives their chakra holders more chakra, which makes their speed, energy, strength, and endurance increase substantially. That is why he tried to stand up for the chakra holders, but was sadly killed. Also, the chakra boosts basically all stats of yours, like I stated previously, and Amosama's mother was taken from his family because she had an illness where she could not produce ki, chakra, or mana, which are the forms of energy on planet Kinto, and planet Kinto is where this story takes place. It is believed that she had the problem due to pregnancy, so Amosama carries the burden of regret and sometimes views himself as a mistake that should have never happened. Zeliotis' father, the most important out of them all, was a demon. In fact, he was the demon king in charge of the demon realm. His elder brother was the prince of the demon realm. His name was Meldris. Meldris went into a war with the intent of obtaining an amulet so powerful that it could this amulet could restore order to the demon and goddess realms, connecting them and creating a crossbreed that would be powerful enough to rule both realms, because each realm was in a state of crisis, but the ruler of the demon realm was the demon king, and the ruler of the goddess realm and clan was the supreme deity. But they hated each other so much that they knew that they couldn't work together. They had their reasons, but they needed someone on their caliber to fix things. They were in this state of crisis because they didn't want to work together against the fairy king Alyssum, human king Nightlight, the human king Nightwood, the doll empire, the Sapara Saiyan king Onion, the Sapara Saiyan queen Cassava, the vampire king Nightblood, vampire king, and secondly, queen Nightwitch, Leiju emperor, Leiju empress, giant king Bedrock, and giant queen Mineral. These 6 races were planning a coup d'etat on the demon and goddess race. Due to the fact that they were planning this coup d'etat, the demon and goddess race, were technically being swarmed. Because of the demon realm's cruelty towards the other races, and the goddess race not seeking to help the other realms while they were in peril and being attacked by the Notsutsuskis, which were basically just these creatures that could absorb life, becoming incarnations of chakra and eventually eating each other through a cycle called fruitkin, turning themselves into fruits and eating each other, making them stronger so they can conquer planet Kinto. And even though the goddess, demon, fairy, vampire, human, doll, Leiju, giant, and Sapara Saiyans signed a treaty to not harm each other and or kill each other, the goddess and demon race refused to cooperate with the other races, and the other races felt betrayed by their allies. The story starts now. Imosuma wakes up at 9 a.m., Isoku wakes up at 10 a.m., and Zeliotis wakes up at 11 a.m. Nevertheless, they all hear a loud explosion. Imosuma flies to the location where he heard the noise. Zeliotis creates wings using the manifestation of his mana, known as darkness, and Isoku uses his Leiju chakra to create a water stream to ride on. They all get there at the same time, relatively, as they see a demon, but then they realize it's no ordinary demon. It was a rogue demon named Kaneki, who they'd only heard of in legends. All three stare at Ken Kaneki, or Kaneki, waiting for the necessary interval to defeat him. They found the interval and went to strike, but Kaneki was gone. He was about to destroy another village. They fought, but they realized the village in front of them wasn't his target. A young girl looking for her parents in the rubble was his target. They realized it was a trap, but they didn't care. They rushed in and sacrificed their lives using their signature moves. Isoku transformed into his Leiju, creating a blast of sea spume. Imosuma went into his legendary Sapara Saiyan form, and using a yellow ki blast he calls Final Neptonic Blast. And Zeliotis used his full darkness to transform into his most powerful state, known as AS mode or assault mode. In this form, is extremely strong, but he loses all sense of emotion. He understands the negative side effects, so he uses a semi-version of it, where he only loses half of his emotions, so he doesn't accidentally hurt anyone. As he uses something called Atomic Devastation, they all fire their moves at the same time, creating a blast so powerful it destroys the surrounding area. But then, someone showed up and saved the girl. His name was Zeno. But in that short time, he had also blasted Kaneki to dust. They all decide that there's no point to fight if there's people like Zeno who can do stuff like that, no problem. So they all decide to be friends and go home. A few weeks passed and they create stronger bonds. The next day, they were walking in a path where they walk a lot and hear a young boy around the age of 9 screaming, "Help! Help!" They rush to the area where they heard the noise and see a monster trying to take the heart from a boy of the Sapara race. Immediately, Imosuma ran towards the boy. This was his inner pride. He couldn't let somebody from his own race be hurt like this, right? The sludge monster who was attacking him was an underdeveloped Notsutsuki. Isoku and Zeliotis ran in with Imosuma and were getting into their battle stances, and within a blink of an eye, they all jumped and instantaneously black-flipped down. But the sludge monster had already let the boy go, scared of the power, well, he could feel was going to be unleashed on him. In that moment, when he saw them backflip down, he was confused, watching what would happen. Imosuma, Isoku, and Zeliotis all would exclaim with an irritated voice, "Why should we help you?" The boy would then reply, "Because you're heroes." "No, we're not heroes, and don't ever compare us to heroes. When heroes who we thought we were on the same tier and caliber as defeat opponents we had to work together to defeat, using most of our power. And they defeat big threats like Kaneki, no problem," Isoku reclaims. Zeliotis adding, "Why should we help him? He's just a worthless brat." Leaving the boy, he screams again. They think about helping him, but resist the urge, deciding against it. They wake up and see the news headlines saying that a hero named Rin saved a young boy in the woods. Isoku would remember reading a book on a god named Rin and a god named Zeno, but would brush this off. They anticipated this the last time they were trying to save someone. The person they were trying to save was already rescued. After a day passed, They would go outside, but walk on a more calmer and more quiet route to experience more tranquility and to reflect on their past actions. But they refused to accept that they were wrong, that what they did was vile. As they would start to exit the forest, they would see a man of the giant race meditating. As they would ask him in a kind and gentle voice if he is a villain, he replies with a no, but before they could ask if he was a hero, he exclaimed that he is nor a villain or a hero. He is someone who stands in between both. I am the Gray. They ask the giant, who tells them his name is Droll, a warrior whose pride was stripped away from him for losing a battle against the Fairy King before Alyssum. Fairy King Zenobia. Fairy King Zenobia was known for creating a honey-like pollen that was strong enough to make everyone on the planet fall asleep. It also placed a seal on Droll's heart, making him unable to heal from very serious injuries. The fairies and giants were in a conflict at the time, so it was a mass destruction for the fairies to take advantage of. Eventually, the giants were forced to sign a treaty with the fairies, but the devastation caused by Zenobia was detrimental to the effect that the treaty still possesses in the modern era. Just to state, when I say modern times or era, I mean the era we are in here in 2020. But in this modern time, technology like smartphones are non-existent. Anyhow, after listening to a few more stories about Droll's endeavors, they decide to ask him for tutelage, and he gladly accepts to be their master. To their surprise, he would accept them. He doesn't tell them why, but his reasoning for it was because he sensed the darkness and malice in their hearts and auras. But he also knew that if they could find a balance between good and evil within them, they would be able to have the ideologies of a hero and be able to understand why villains are villains and why people choose the paths that they do. The next day, while they lie in the woods, the first part of their training begins, surviving in the wild. Droll would leave them for a bit, but secretly would watch what they would do. They instantly power up and start to play a game called Kill, Defend, and Protect. For example, Isoku tries to kill Imosuma, while Imosuma tries to kill Isoku, and Imosuma tries to defend Isoku at the same time from Zeliotis, who tries to kill Isoku, and a sort of cycle like that, making them gain defense and offense and minor teamwork skills. Right when their powers collide, or were about to collide, Droll stopped them with a movement stopping time ability called Pause Now. They were surprised by the power that Droll possessed and withheld because they weren't holding back, and it felt as if their ki, mana, and chakra were being sapped and drained quite quickly. He told them in a calming voice, "Why are you resisting my power? And did you know if all 3 punches of yours connected, then you would have destroyed the whole forest entirely? This peaceful place. So while we train, I'll be teaching you how to control the amount of power you output. So something like that, well, doesn't happen. And to escape this hold, you will have to break your right arm or an important limb to show your resolve for wanting to become somebody powerful enough to keep a balance, or just to show your resolve to break out of it. And also, I want you to mend peace between the 8 races, so I need to know if you can truly do that." They would then calm their bodies as if they were meditating while standing and would break their arms all at once. But instead of stopping at that, at breaking their arms, they decided to test their master's wits, going full power and entering battle with Droll. Droll would then yell out, "Gigantic erosion," making a pit below. Imosuma and Zeliotis are able to find a way to get up from the hole, but Isoku can't because he doesn't have enough chakra to use his moves that allow him to fly. And the Leiju within him doesn't want to cooperate with him at the moment, so he decided to watch the battle above, believing that his comrades could beat Droll. He went to sit down, but he heard footsteps, immediately jumping up and looking behind him. It was Droll, who would explain that with his sacred weapon or treasure known as Unbreakable Staff, he can use it to create extensions of himself. He explains that he did this to corner Isoku and test his one-on-one capabilities, because he's the only one, who he hasn't seen his one-on-one capabilities, and just in general, all of them, he hasn't really seen them work alone. only in threes or all together. Joel smiles and says, begin. Isoku immediately jumps into the air, yelling water pit, creating a tsunami-like pool of water, which gave Isoku the ability to attack Joel underwater. But then Joel transformed into his giant state, making him able to breathe again. He would then yell out, Dextravore Assemblation. Immediately, flies, mites, springtails, and bugs of the sorts infest the water. Isoku would then have to expel the attack, saying water evaporation, creating a smoke that knocked out and vaporized the bugs. But Drawl stopped, puzzled by it. Isoku decides to speak with his Liju to try to develop a relationship with Isoku. Isoku doesn't realize it, but his Liju, Isobu, lent him enough chakra to start, creating a chakra cloak around himself, and Isoku vaporized Joel's clone with the sheer might of the chakra, letting Joel know how they are in one-on-one scenarios after teaching them things like meditation and new skills for 3 months. They're ready for their endeavors as heroes. Also, another side note, my calculations for their strength are to break a concrete block, you need about 1.6 million pounds of force, times their original strength of 800,000 pounds, which is their previous predetermined precursor, which I stated above, then multiply the force by about 3 times by the 3 months of training with a lot of stuff mixed up, which would equal 2.479 million pounds of force, which is approximately how powerful their blows are at full strength. Their first week of being a hero, a rescue case. They have been on rescue missions before, just not as heroes. They know what it's like to not be able to save someone, and though nobody has died on their watch, they remember the time when they turned their backs on a civilian, a human, and a Sapara. They arrive at the mission, and it's a rubble rescue. They pick up the pieces of concrete, no problem, due to them doing the strength training, which I stated above. By the end of the day, they saved 112 people, 96 of which were children, and 16 adults. These 96 children are the children of the adults. If you don't understand why there would be so many children, well, the calcs are just 16.6 children to each parent, and the population in this timeline has skyrocketed much more than in our current era in general. The next day, they have a bomb rescue mission, which is pretty much where somebody, probably a terrorist in fact, threatens to drop bombs on a cities, like Kint, which is the planet capital of Kinto, which would kill billions of people, and if not trillions, who couldn't protect themselves. Isoku locates the supposed bomber. Isoku would then ask Isobu for his Liju chakra, which Isobu does gladly, due to Isoku, like I said before, building a relationship with Isobu and mastering his Liju chakra. In the 3-month training gap, wrapping his chakra arms and tails around the bomber, blocking his airway, making him pass out. Zeliotis and Amosima take the bomber back to the police's HQ. Isoku heads back to their place to take a nap. 2 weeks pass and they have completed the necessary amount of work to rank up as heroes, where they don't work under a corporation. It's kind of like being a singer and finishing a record deal. After being told this by their 3 different companies, they decided to be a trio that stops crimes and stuff like that. Their name among the populace was Z11. But people around, I guess you could just say the globe, have certain and different names for them. But the difference between their corporation and others is that the people who are hired for their duties as heroes aren't under them and under each other. And there's no true ranking besides the fact that Isoku, Zeliotis, and Amosima being the leaders of the corporation, which they name the Heroes of Unity, or HOU. This was a part 0 to The Great Eclipse, which is this anime that I basically, I guess you could say, wrote. This is like 3 animes in one, those being Naruto, DBZ, or Dragon Ball Z, and 7 Deadly Sins. Anyhow, this was What If Rami X wrote an anime, and clearly these aren't the same what ifs, or this isn't even close to what 7 Deadly Sins is. There's also Greek mythology in here. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of all the certain little cues. And the only thing I'm copying from those series is the forms of energy. And they're real in real life, I guess you could say. Those being ki, chakra, and mana. Anyhow, make sure to share the video to someone who likes anime content in general, or what ifs. And check out my Discord server down below if you want to interact with me on a more personal level, or the people within the server, which there's more than 100 at the moment, so there's a good amount of people to interact with. And, well, as always, I hope you enjoyed, and Rami X out.